get out of some of this stuff too. I got pulled up. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. All right, let me see if we live on the YouTube end, and we gonna get it in. Uh,
Yep, I see it, Coach. We live. I see it.
yep. All right. All right. All right. All right. We'll be right back. Let me find my song. There you
Yeah, I'm in the city, yeah. I'm in the spot, in the vicinity. I'm the hottest up in the city, yeah, it really is. I studied the ones that was the realest, the illest, that invented that. Talking about Griots, West African passages for the street stone. Adios mio, make it get about the Afro-Latino. Fuck every dish from Africa's West Central. Let's raise a toast to the ancestors of old. For the knowledge comes in the form of a griot, in the form of a griot.
all right. All right. We be jamming over here, Miss Carol. You got to ride us. We be jamming. You probably gonna laugh all through the show today. But welcome back to the Griot podcast. Um, I am one of your hosts, Kofi Piche. I'll let my beautiful co-host introduce herself first, and then we'll go down the line.
Hey, yo, what up, good and wonderful people? My name is Dr. Ashley Wade. I am a pharmacist. I own ADH Pharmacy Consulting. I'm also an author and a community and a literacy advocate. I love the people. I love to connect and collaborate. And that's part of what makes what I do, you know, impactful and great for the people. So, Sean P.
Yeah. What up? It's your man Sean P coming in live. I am the host of the Sean P Experience. I am also a part of the Wonderful Griot podcast. I am also a part of the Truth Be Told podcast with Joe Dupree. Third time, 13 times self-published author, community activist, scholar, educator, avid reader. You know, you name it, we do it over here at the Griot podcast. Pass the ball to my man, the Red Ranger, the Thundercat.
All right, all right. I'm Kofi Piche. I'm a writer, an author, an entrepreneur, a public speaker, a lecturer, uh, the host of the Warrior Scholar podcast, a co-host of the Griot podcast, um, magazine owner, amongst other things. Now, can our lovely guests briefly introduce themselves? We'll let Miss Carol start, and then we'll let Miss Joni introduce herself. Can you hear us, Miss Carol? Miss Miss Carol. She can't. She can't. She her mic. Let me see. Hold on. It's unmuted. Can you hear us, Miss Carol? Pop out and pop back in, Miss Carol. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Well,
There she
introduce you.
go.
You can't hear us, Miss Carol? You can't hear us? Pop back out and pop back in. Yeah, pop back out and pop back in. Y'all can hear me, can't you? Yeah. Just pop back out and pop back in, Miss Joni. I mean Miss Carol, Miss Carolyn. Yeah, she gonna have to pop back out and pop back in. Can you text her real quick, Joni, and let her know to just pop out and then pop right back in? We having some mic difficulties, y'all. We'll be with y'all in just a moment. So bear with us just a moment, please. And then once you text her and tell her to pop out and pop back on, Johnny. Okay, you can go ahead and introduce yourself, Miss Johnny. Did you get it? Was you able to text her?
Yeah, I just text her. I don't know
Okay.
if she can hear now.
Can you hear Miss Johnny? I mean, Miss Carol, I keep saying she still can't hear. She gonna have to pop back out and pop in. She gonna have to remove herself all the way out and then come back in. That's the only way is because she done lost the sound because her screen went black a while ago. Okay, that she is. So all she got to do is pop back in. When she pop back in, she'll be good. But while we waiting on her, Joni, go ahead and introduce yourself for people who may not know who you are.
Hi, I'm Joni Dolphine R. Patterson. A two-time published author. I'm also the executive assistant on the Hidden Gems and Jewels magazine, as
Mm-hmm.
well as a photographer.
Okay, okay. All right. What about you now? Can you hear us, Miss Kara?
Yes, I can hear y'all now.
Okay, yeah, you just had to pop out and pop back on. But can you please briefly introduce yourself for the people who may not know who you are?
Okay, my name is Carolyn Ayers, and I'm the founder of Hidden Gems and Jews magazine, the CEO of a nonprofit Women of Distinction. It's an outreach ministry. I'm the executive producer of a documentary, um, Black Girls Triumph, that just won an award.
Mm-hmm. I
So,
seen that.
yes, so that's a little bit about me.
All right, all right, all right. So there you have it for our guest. Let me see if I can find it. I can't find it. Look at it. Let's give a round of applause for our guest today. Yeah. So, this is the outline of the Griot podcast. We're going to do an opening segment honoring teachers, scholars, writers, and authors and revolutionaries from the past and present. That is by my brother, my fellow Griot, Sir Nathan Pallador, and the Griot and Griots segment, which is followed up by myself. Then we have the commercial segment where we briefly promote our books and other people's products and services as well. Then we're going to go into the discussion segment where we have our special guest who's on the panel today. And then we'll end the show, which is I always want to keep reiterating, which is one of my favorite segments. And that is the woman segment. And that is briefly talk and give flowers to women who have contributed something of value to the political world, writing world, author world, business world, medical world, academia world, and so forth. That is by our beautiful sister, Dr. Ashley Wade. So let's get into the opening segment first. Let's get this segments out the way, and we're gonna get into this interview with our guest.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So today, with it being a episode about Black media and the importance of Black media, I wanted to highlight the Chicago Defender, one of the longest Black press in the U.S. history, and the founder, Mr. Robert Abbott. He's a visionary African American journalist and a lawyer. He founded the Chicago Defender in 1905.
Mm-hmm.
He had very, very humble beginnings. He started the paper in his landlord's kitchen for only 25 cents in a small press. So very humble beginnings. They were all about advocacy. The Defender boldly challenged racism and exposed lynchings. Dr. Wade, myself, Mr. Ladarius, speaking about lynchings a whole lot lately and various reasons. And they fought against segregation in the early 20th century. Great migration influence. The paper inspired thousands of Black Southerners to move up north, promising opportunity and dignity. Lastly is the legacy. It became one of the most powerful Black newspapers in U.S. history, shaping Black thought, pride, and progress. So we're giving our props this month to the Chicago Defender.
Yes, yes, yes,
That,
yes. Shout
that
out to. Go ahead, Miss Carol. You had something to say?
no, I said that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yes. Yes, and and we're gonna get into that because most of in black media, you talking about the newspaper, like a lot of the criteria from the Chicago Defender, a lot of these other newspapers and magazines that we talk about later on in the segment all follow those same criteria. He got that from the Freedom Journal, which was published in 1827. The Freedom Journal, the founders of that was Samuel Eliot Cornish and John Brown Rochworth, which was the first black-owned newspaper publications in the United States in 1827, and then later on followed by these other different newspaper outlets and magazines. But we're gonna get into all of that a little bit later. But uh, there you have it for the uh, segment by my brother. Appreciate that brother Nathan Palador. Now let's get into the griot segment real quick. We always want to reiterate what a griot and what a griotis are. What is a griot? It is unique to Western Africa. The griot, also jelly, a professional encompass many roles. A griot or grioti has been referred to as in historians and storytellers. Referred to as historians and storytellers, but there are no real words to the English language that includes all of their functions. As a traditional griot or grioti can do anything from re-encountering history to composing music to teaching students to acting as diplomats. They are genealogists, historians, spokespersons, ambassadors, musicians, teachers, warriors, interpreters, um, interpreters, praise singers, masters of ceremonies, advisors, negotiators, and mediators. Not every griot or griotis does all these things, but these are all examples of the functions of a griot or grioti's professional embodiment. Let me remove Sean's twin on here. Sean had a twin on here.
Not sinners, not
Yeah,
sinners.
yeah. So there you have it with the griot and griotis segment. We always want to reiterate what a griot and what a grioti is, and a lot of us serve in those capacities, a role in some shape or fashion. All of us on this panel right now are griots and griotis because we all are writers. We all exhibit um, or execute um, writing styles, techniques, conveying information to the public, curating art, and et cetera, et cetera. So commercial segment, real quick. Let's get into the commercial segment real quick, and then after the commercial segment, we'll get into the interviews. So first, we want to continue to, and we're going to promote our sisters stuff as well. But let me pull this up. If you don't have it, please go get here it is. Go get the Acting on Your Dreams and Vision book that is written by myself, Dr. Ashley Wade, and my brother Shanathan Palador. Acting on Your Dreams and Vision. We also have a workbook. Go get the workbook. If you don't have the workbook, please go get the workbook. The workbook is a complement to the main publication of the book, right? And we also use this in a class that we did that we're discussing on bringing back. Also, if you don't like reading, which I hope that's not the case, get the audio book, Acting on Your Dreams audio book. It is narrated by D. Lewis and Flo Davis. Flo Davis. I always forget that sister name. So go get that as well. Also, if you don't have the Acele magazine fifth issue, which came out in October, go get the Acele magazine fifth issue. It is available. It's online right now, and it's available if you want a physical copy of the magazine publication. Um, Now let's get into Jonay. Jonay, she has a book out. It's called Dangerous Diana. A bad girl don't mess. A bad girl don't mess with me. Don't mess with her. So if you don't have that book, where can they find your publication at, Johnny?
It's available on Amazon.
Okay, you can get it off of Amazon.com. Um, Here is Miss Carolyn. It's a new dawn inspired to move forward. This is one of Miss Carolyn publications. Miss Carolyn got quite a few publications out there that I didn't know of that she has under her belt. Here's another one. We're not gonna get into all of their publications, but this is another book of Revelations. The time is at hand. Where can they get your publications from as well, Miss Carol?
On Amazon as well.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay, on Amazon as well. So these are seasoned writers, seasoned authors that we have on the panel today. Also, if you don't, they had a magazine that also came out in October as well. So go get their magazine, Hidden Gems and Jewels, Family and Business Matters. I know that's right. So it's also available online. So if y'all want to get check it out. You know what I'm saying? Get with Miss Carol and Joni, and they'll direct y'all directly to where y'all can get access to the Hidden Gems and Jewels magazines and all of their backlog as well, right? We're gonna get into all their business with the magazine as well. So let's get into it. Let's get into the discussion. I don't know who want to start first with the questions. Y'all want me to start? Y'all want to start, and then we just get in line. So how y'all want to do it?
Let Dr. Wade rock out first.
All right,
Lady
ladies
first.
first. All right.
Say less. Welcome. I'm so glad. I was just listening to and tapping into all the accomplishments that you wonderful, beautiful ladies have made. And I'm just so proud. That's the first thing. Thank you for your sacrifice and thank you for your insight. And that's the question I want to start with. For both of you, what prompted your insight to write and contribute to the Black press?
I'm gonna let Miss Carolyn go first.
Okay. Well, far as hitting gems and jewels, I know that they have all these celebrities, and we hear about them all in the news. But except for maybe like American Idol, where you see some new talent. But I wanted to really express hidden talent that we don't see every day. So many people out there has you know these hidden talents, I mean great talent, that we don't get to see because we see all this in the news, we see in social media. But there are some talented artists, musicians, writers, and that's why I wanted to reach those people. And so that's where that was birthed, hidden gems and Jews, because we got a lot of those hidden gems out there and Jews out there. So, but I want to just give a shout out to Joni. I was just talking to the man of God and who's over this podcast about her. She is a diamond. I told her the $1 million woman. She don't know that, but I'm telling you, this young lady, this is a diamond.
Mhm.
She I'm so happy to have her on my team. She's gonna go far. You
How
just
did y'all meet?
she's gonna go far.
We're cousins.
Ah,
Yeah. So what else, woman of God, that you want to know?
have you always been a writer and a reader? Some of us have been reading, at least reading for since teenage years. So I'm curious, have you been writing for your life? You've loved to be a writer, or did you fairly recently get into writing? Tell us about that.
Well, like the man of God said, I have a lot of books out there, and I write because I write like I teach classes like you all do. And I tell people, you should have a journal and you just write down what your thoughts are, things that you went through or things that you saw, and so that's where my writing come from. I just enjoy writing, and I write about the things that I feel at the moment, the things that I might have seen, so yeah, I have a lot of books, and I tell people I might not, I'm not what you would call one of those expert writers. I write from feeling. You know what I'm saying? So don't take what I'm saying to heart, because this is what I feel. So don't think that it's got to be so perfect and all put together. This is Carolyn's thoughts. So that's how I write.
Okay. What about you, John A?
Well,
Same
I've
question.
always been a writer. As long as I can remember, I've always had a journal. I've always written stuff. I've always written poetry, short stories. My specialty was short stories. That is how I actually met my cousin, because she had a contest going on, a short story contest, and I submitted my work, which I knew she was my cousin, but we didn't really even know each other. So it's like submitted the work, and she liked it. She was like, "We could turn this into a book." So that's how that my first book came about. But I've always loved to write. That's like one of my one of my babies. My dream job would probably be something that I could be creative in writing and photography and stuff like that. And of course, that was able to happen with the magazine.
Okay, okay. The same thing too with the Gems and Jewels magazine. Um, Jonay, talk a little bit about the Jewels and Gems magazine, the process behind putting the Gems and Jewels magazine together.
Okay, so the magazine is actually Miss Carolyn's baby. Um, I came about when she wanted to revamp it and give it, a new fresh look to it. So me being techie, I kind of put my little spin on it. Of course, I agree that we do have a lot of hidden gems and jewels, people that don't get celebrated, that do um they do give back to their community in different ways, whether it's through literary works or actually getting out here in the community and doing the work. And I wanted to bring eyes to those people. Now there's a lot of like sources that we don't even know that we could use as writers, as anybody, a photographer, even as far as to go as like domestic violence victims. They don't know that there's a lot of resources that they can go to, and I wanted to bring eyes to those people that we don't see every day, that we don't actually even know about. So I'm carrying the baton and finishing the race, I suppose.
Okay. And I was sharing with um Miss Carolyn offline, there wouldn't be a I always talked about doing a magazine, but there wouldn't be an silly magazine if I wouldn't got Sean would have shared the Hidden Gems and Jewels issue last year of this month in October, when y'all put out that edition in October that Sean was a part of. So I told her that wouldn't be in a CLA magazine because that issue expired me to talk to Sean, who Sean connected me to you. And I was able, and I was talking to Miss Carol too about I like Miss Carol just by the conversation we had off. She's believe in the same thing of pulling each other together, creating teams, and we creating and we building so we can move forward together collectively. And but and I was telling her about, I may not know certain things, but I work with somebody else so I can give them access. I can't do it, but I can give you access to the person that know how to do it. So that was the same thing. Me and Sean has been working together for a few years. So he couldn't give me the answers I needed. So he granted me access to you. And I appreciate you for allowing me to talk to you for a little over an hour. And I got a lot out of that, and that what transpired and birthed the Acele magazine. And the following month, after talking to you, Acele magazine was birthed, and the first publication had came out. So I appreciate both of you sisters for putting out and a magazine and showing us, how we can do it. So again, I greatly appreciate y'all for that.
No, thank you. Thank you for having that idea and actually running with it and actually reaching out to me so that I could share the information that I have with you. Because I mean, I'm still new in the game. That was my first time actually even putting a magazine together. So we was learning together.
Oh, what? Oh, no, wait a minute. So that was your first issue that you had did when y'all revamped it? The one
Yeah.
Sean was in? Wow. Okay.
And
Wow.
see, Tanya,
Yeah.
now you understand why I said that's a bad girl.
Yeah.
Bad girl.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
an incredible first time. That was an
Yeah.
incredible first time.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. I didn't know that. I thought she was already doing some and got some under her belt. And wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, that was
Wow.
my first time. That was
Let me.
actually my first time ever using Canva. My first time
Wow.
doing a magazine. Yeah.
What? Okay, so for the audience watching this that don't know, last year, so I was a featured guest in their magazine. So Sister John met me in person. We sat, did a whole interview together. We also met and did a photo shoot. Like she did the whole
Oh my
every rooter to the
God.
tutor process. It was an amazing experience as a guest. I was blown away as a guest on their publication.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who would have known all of that would have happened from a dog bite?
Yes, that's how it really started, Kofi. So I had a hospital job at the time, and she was there because were you the victim or you were just there with somebody?
Yeah, I was the victim. My dog bit me, and my little pinky finger didn't want to stop bleeding, so I had to go to the emergency room.
And that's how we initially met in the emergency room.
Wow. I
Wow.
didn't know that neither.
Thank God for that dog. Thank God for the
Yes,
dog.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. All right, that's all right, man.
Mhm.
But go ahead, Sean, if you got anything for the you on mute. You done muted
This
yourself.
question for all three ladies, including Dr. Wade, because you're a black woman in this space, right? So, what does it mean to be a black woman with a voice in media right now? We seeing what's going on. A lot of major women are being taken off the air, off of their news networks. They're losing their platforms. What does it mean to be a black woman in media right now to you?
Well, for me, I was just talking to the man of God earlier before we all got on here. And for me, right now, in this, space that we are in right now today, I feel like we need to be collaborating. And that's what I'm working on. I have a team that's working on that. I was talking to him about that. And for us to put our face out there, I mean, the administration is trying to put us in the background, but we have moved forward from that. We can't go back. We got to move forward. And I think that my motto has always been that we are bigger together. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a collaboration where we will put on this huge production. And I'm trying to get 40 women together to do this. And I want to bring in art. I want to bring in books. I want to bring in music. And I want to bring in speaking. So I just feel like we got to put our face out there. We can't wait for somebody else to do it for us. We have to do it. So that's that's the way I feel we are, and that's where we at in this here, you know, culture that we're in today.
You on mute, John A.
I think in the time that we're in right now is just important for us women and well, especially Black people. I think it is important for us to stay positive
Yes.
and spread positivity, not like not engulf ourselves in the negative stuff that's going on in our country and the media. I think that we have to just keep our feet planted on the ground. The skin might be dark, but our light is definitely bright. And we
Yes.
cannot be dim. So yeah.
Okay.
I agree. And the biggest thing that it makes me feel, I was just thinking, I'm glad you asked that, Sean, is it makes me feel powerful. Especially coming from a person that's a scientist. I'm typically a type A thinker. The ability to be able to give insight and provide insight into the community is something that relates power to that response, because there's so much coming at us all the time, so many different ways, and a lot of times it don't even be truth. It's not always the truth that's put out there. Sorry, it got a little loud, but so it get an opportunity to dispense some insight and perspective in the community is something that I see as powerful, and especially like learning about Ida B. Wells. I haven't even gotten to the part where she started writing real good, but Black women, we're seen as a threat when we use our voices. You know what I'm saying? For some reason, I don't know why, we're seen as a threat sometimes to some people, but also to see those people that gravitate towards what we say and how we inspire and empower people, that's important to me. And so that's why I feel powerful being able to contribute to the press in this time.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and speaking of Ida B. Wells, I'm from Mississippi, so she's from Holly Springs, Mississippi, and she moved to Memphis, and she became a writer and an editor for the magazine in Memphis, and the office got messed up, tore down, etc. Then she moved to Chicago. Later on, she moved to Chicago, and you mentioned the Chicago Defender, right? So in what was that? Chicago. It was the Chicago Bee. Chicago. It was also a publication called the Chicago Bee, Chicago BEE, where she became a writer and an editor also for that publication. I mean, for that newspaper um, in Chicago as well. So she's so shout out to Ida B. Wells. I'm glad you mentioned Ida B. Wells. So she's um, a lot of people that don't know who Ida B. Wells is, please tap into that brilliant sister. She's not only was a writer, she was a activist, a civil rights activist. She was a psychologist, amongst other great things that she did for us. She was a member of various organizations. So shout out to Ida B. Wells. But I wanted to drop that a little bit, about Ida B. Wells when you mentioned her being a writer and some of her contributions in the space of these newspapers in Memphis and Chicago. Um, I got a question. This is a question for both of the guests. As an author, you've each published works. Looking back at your past book projects, what key lessons did you learn that continue to guide your writing and your publishing journey?
Joni, you could go ahead.
Well, I'm not as seasoned as Miss Carolyn. I only
Mhm.
have 2 books.
Uh-huh.
I'm a little dog. But
Mhm.
I will say that I've learned a lot from my 2 books. Um, One, everything got a price. Everything has a price.
Mhm.
So for me, I love to learn. So I've learned how to format my own books. Um, and I've learned to outsource some things like editing and alpha reading, beta reading, and all of this and that.
Mhm.
Because if not, I still would have had to pay a price, which would have been my time.
Mhm.
Right.
So I've learned that. I guess that would be like the administrative part of writing. But also, I've learned that if I turn writing into a job, it no longer be it's not fun for me. I
Mm-hmm.
can't be creative. So I have to take it as it comes. When I feel like being creative and letting it flow, I write. And when I don't feel it, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple like that. I'm not gonna be complex. I've been to workshops where they're like, oh, if you want to write a book, all you gotta do is this many words in 30 days, and there's a book. I can't do that. My book it's not gonna be me. At the end of the day, it's gonna be forced work. My process is my process.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that.
yeah, I agree with Joni. Like I said, all the books that I wrote it out of just you know, like this is my joy, my pastime. It's not like Joni said, you don't want it to feel like it's a burden, because you want it to feel like it's something that you enjoy doing. So that's why, like she said, journaling come in. You write down so you can go back and look at it and say, oh yeah, I wrote this down. Yeah, I might want to expand on that, and then a book might come out of that. But you don't want it to be a burden to you. It should be something that you enjoy doing, and something that you really want to share with your audience. So that's what I've gotten out of writing, that it should be something you enjoy. you know
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Sean.
Let's kind of like stay here for a little while because everybody here are writers. And let's talk about keeping the joy in writing. Something that myself and Ladarius talked about just 2 days ago was about being on fire to write. I love whenever I feel like, man, I can't wait to get back to the laptop. I can't wait to get to the keyboard. Like I'm on fire to do it. How do you keep on infusing that in your writing is the next thing I would ask everybody here that's writing.
Well, I think it's about having something that inspire you. Something that you think, oh wow, this is touching for me, and that you want to expound on. To keep that fire burning inside. It's got to be something that's just like he showed that book, in Revelation. That was something. I'm an average Bible reader. I'm a minister, so I read my Bible a lot, but if something in the word, that God laid on my heart and it inspired me, that keeps that fire burning. So certain things that inspire you, motivate you, then that might spark that book. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I writing for me is it's always a joy for me. I've have my in the past I had my ups and my downs where I'm not motivated. I may not write, but these last year and a half, I've made it my mission that I have to write something every day. This is something I love doing. I love reading and I love writing. So just jotting down a few things. But like for example, I'm always right. I write about stuff that inspire me, or stuff that I see that gives me an interest that I don't want people to be led the wrong way. So I write something to combat that instead of arguing with a person. And then just last night, my plans changed. I wasn't planning on doing too much writing at all. So I said, I'm a night owl. So I said I was going go to bed for me at 1 o'clock, which is not normal. But I said, I'm gonna go to bed at 1 o'clock because I wanted to get up. I wanted to get up. I wanted to go run. Then I wanted to come back and then wash one of my cars and then take a shower and then relax until it was time for the podcast. But I walked yesterday and when I'm in the environment, I might talk about certain things, that might spark my interest at a time over conversation I might have had. So the conversation I had yesterday when I was talking about unplugging from the Eurocentric matrix and then plugging into your ancestral power. So I talked about that and what that looked like and detailed a little bit about it. And that conversation, just me talking randomly about it, inspired me to write an article. So last night I promised to get into bed at 1 o'clock. So I got into bed at 1 o'clock, but that conversation of me just walking and talking and me looking back at the video, it inspired me and said I have to expound on this. I'm not going to do a book, but I can put out an article, a 12 to 15-minute read where somebody can read and it doesn't take them all day. And I can expound and go a little more in depth than what I was talking about when I was having the conversation as I was walking. So that inspired me last night to lay in the bed. I didn't want to get up, come back in my office or grab the laptop. So I grabbed my phone and went straight into my notes. And I started writing for 2 hours, an article, just writing, started the outline there, actually started writing for 2 hours, and it ended up to be about 4:30. I said, well, let me lay down and go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? I'd have missed me going to bed at 1 o'clock, but I definitely agree with you, things that inspire me. So a lot of times for me, when I'm putting out a book, it's something that I've read that inspired me, something that someone has done, or their good deeds that inspire me, or someone, even somebody bad deeds that they does. What I mean by executing and conveying misinformation or misleading or dangerous information to people. So that inspires me to write something to combat that, to lay out all of the evidence, because this person was misleading and coming from one sided. So I'm gonna give you both perspective, and I'm gonna give you all the evidence, and then you come up with your own conclusion is what we should be doing. So I definitely agree with what she was saying.
Kofi be on 10 with that balancing act. He be like, I'm gonna show you this and I'm gonna show you that. But what gives me joy is meeting people and listening to the conversations and being around events, community events that are going on, and seeing what is missing. Kind of like what Kofi's talking about. What do we need to hear? What are people talking about? What's on our mind? How are people digesting things, and and then the joy comes from being able to put my razzle on what I want to say. You know what I'm saying? Again, especially coming from the scientific end, everything is mostly regurgitation, memorization, that type of thing. But I feel like what brings me joy as a writer is like the application of things learned, and then putting my little razzle on the delivery.
That's right.
And that brings me joy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like writing has to have some joy in there, you know?
Yeah, definitely got to have some joy. It definitely got to have some joy. And what about you, Sean? You asked the question, but you know, you a writer, you an author. So what about you?
It's funny because people always ask me about writer's block, right? Writer's block. Every book I write, people ask, what's the hardest part of the book? What was the hardest chapter? And it's a hard question because, like, luckily so far, I've never experienced writer's block. Like, everything I want to write about in this book, I'm on fire about it. I'm excited about it. First of all, it's about my literal life I've lived thus far. So first of all, it's my life experience, it's my perspective. There is no wrong in it. It's my life. And then the gems that I'm giving, the jewels, the principles I'm laying on top of it, and the icing on the top, man. And I really love to see myself develop as a writer. I love seeing myself develop in my flow, in my format, and what I'm doing. So, like, all those aspects is exciting to me. But that's joy within itself, just seeing myself grow every time I write. The word I'm using, the structure I'm using, and how I'm doing the format. I just love every aspect of the process so far. So far.
So I got a question for all of you all too. So what lessons did you learn about yourself after you completed a project or writing the project? What did you learn about yourself?
For me, something that I can do. Again, I was the person in school from pre-K through high school. I barely and rarely ever made the honor roll. I never made the principal list. I was never in the AP classes and the honor classes, like none of that. My whole time in school, I like never did homework. I never would sit down and study. I wasn't the guy sitting there reading books, like none of those things. So for me to write a book from front to back and complete it, that proves a lot to myself. But then completing it, that was a lot thrown to myself anyway.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's yes.
Yeah.
Well, for one thing, I think writing a book, I don't know about you all. I mean, it takes patience, you know, to get from the beginning to the end, you know. So I think for me that you know the patience of it.
Mhm. Okay.
Mm,
For
I think
me, I think it's I think if I'm not mistaken, I think I am the only person that does creative writing in this panel. And you guys are like more of inspirational and educational writers.
mhm,
But my book, Dangerous Dana, and the second part of the book is both what you would consider like thriller or urban fiction. So
mm,
for me, it was more of like character development. That's something I learned. But something that I learned about myself is that I can definitely stretch my creativity enough to complete an actual book. Because like I said before, I am more of like a short story writer. Like most of my work would have been maybe 300 to 500 words, and I was done with that. Like you couldn't get anything else out of me outside of them 500 words.
Yeah.
mhm.
I'm a creative writer myself.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
You know,
Thank
and
you.
I was trying to show the book, but I wrote a children book back in 2020. It's called The Kalawaj Trip to the Motherland, Education and African Music. And so I wrote a children book around the Gullah Geechee people that's in the Sea Islands in Atlanta and Florida, and based on a true story of them pilgrimage back to Sierra Leone um, in the 80s. So I took that story and twisted about a young girl named Kalawa, which also is a Gullah Geechee name, and her father took her back. Her father went to that pilgrimage and then came back and vowed when he had children he would take his child back to West Africa and she would learn about different music instruments and learn about the culture in West Africa. But he ended up taking her not only to Sierra Leone to learn about her roots, but he took her to Mali, he took her to South Africa, he took her to Burkina Faso and some other places. So it's like a children book, and she just learned about the importance of music and why music is an important element in African culture, and it's entrenched in everything that they did, and using drums as a form of communication, which was the first form of communication, especially when we got over here in America. And well, a lot of our ancestors was enslaved. They used the drums to communicate to other different plantations. So just her learning about those different instruments. So I have done some creative prop, but it's a lot going into it. I tried to rewrite another one, the Journey of the Hearts, the Kalawa love story. She's grown, but I had like over 50 some characters. Sean asked me to dial them back, and I started trying to dial them back, but I still hadn't finished that. That's a process in itself. It's definitely a process in itself of developing characters. But for
Mm,
me, I learned too. I patience was what for me was I learned about myself is I do have a lot of patience because like Miss Carolyn said that you got to have patience. You just can't start and then you'll be done with a book by the end of the day. You just got to have patience and you got to work through it till you get done with the projects. And it's a lot of processes and step that goes to writing
mm,
and completing a book. So for me, for patience, because I have always been a person that has never had patience. I always paid people to do stuff for me because I didn't want to sit down and try to figure it out. And if I did try to figure it out, I tear it up before I complete it because I ain't got no patience because I ain't finishing it fast enough. So definitely for me, patience was something that I learned.
yeah, because me for writing the script for my documentary, I took patience, because to get it to get it copyright, there's a format that you have to follow
Mhm.
to get your documentary, your script. I even wrote a script for a sitcom, and I had to, yes, I have a copyright sitcom, but I haven't put it out there. I'm trying to make a trailer for it, but the documentary, you got to write the script, you got to write all these different synopses, You got to write a long line. It's a whole lot of steps to it. That's why I say it taught me patience to to write on what they ask, you to write in order to get it copyrighted, in order for me to put that documentary out there, So, yeah. Yeah, so different things in writing, you gotta have patience, or you just give up, and say, oh wow, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna be writing all of that. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta have patience to start it and finish it.
Yes, ma'am. What about you, Dr. Ashley Wade? What did you
First of
learn
all,
about yourself?
come to find out, we got a celebrity in the building. Miss Carolyn's like, oh, I'm writing sitcoms, I'm writing documentaries, I'm going through the copyright process. I'm like, wait, talk about a hidden gem. Hello, Miss Carolyn on the map.
Yes,
What I learned.
that copyright process ain't
Yes,
nothing.
ma'am. Baby. And you tackling it. I'm over here like, whoo, I can't even imagine. But I definitely learned how to listen to spirit and like follow the downloads, because a lot of times people wonder what they should do next or wonder what they should talk about next and like stress out over it. But one thing that, as a writer, just paying attention to the deposits that come in your mind and your brain to share with people. That's something that I learned to listen to. And I was like, oh, is this what's happening? So I first learned about that communication system between the human and the most high in that respect, when it comes to what I wanted to write about or what I should write about. And especially that's the number one question that I get about my book. It's a holistic journal for discovering self, is, what made you write it? And it's that download piece. I didn't even consider myself a writer. I wasn't a writer. Again, I'm a scientist. So I kind of excluded the creative side from my mind because I really didn't see that part of me. So I learned that I was creative. I learned that people have a palette for what I have to say. They pick up what I'm putting down. So over time, I just have gotten more confident in what I'm saying and what I'm communicating, and get better at my finesse of what I want people to grab from those words.
Yes. Yeah. It's a learning process. Like you say, a learning.
Because everybody writes different and everybody uses their voice. It would be a disservice, speaking of the Black press and media, for us to all copy each other. That would be a huge disservice to the community and the culture. So finding those things that make you unique and putting your razzle on it and standing on that with confidence is something that I definitely learned from being a writer.
Yeah.
So,
But to cut you off, but like Joni, that creative and Mr. Coffee, the creative writing is fascinating. When they could do that creative writing, and it's just like she said, mine's is more motivational, inspirational, whatever, but that creative niche, that's awesome.
That's a whole nother part of the brain. And even like Kofi, I didn't know that you were thinking of writing a book like that. It reminds me of the Kimoni Legacy, Sean P. You remember that book? I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he had a ton of characters in there, and they each had a whole personality and a whole storyline. And it was a big old book. So that's that what you plan on writing, Kofi? Like a 700, 800 page book?
No, well, the children book already out. Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland, it's already out. I put it out in 2020, but yeah, I didn't want to do the Kimoni Legacy. That's just too big of a book to be trying to publish in, because it's got to be
characters, and that took me. You said
it's got to be cost effective too for me. Like, it's got to make sense for me when I'm writing something. It's got to make sense, and it's got to be cost effective. And writing a book that big is not cost effective. I'll be losing money to write a 600 to 800 page book because now I'm looking at the cost of the book. I'm looking at how much each page is gonna cost, the color, the print, the glue, all of that stuff. So it's gonna be, so I will have to, in order for me to make a profit or make my money back in the investment, I will have to, price gouge the price, and I don't want to price gouge the price because ain't nobody gonna buy that. No way, because it's too high. And then nobody's gonna buy it now at this day and time. Maybe some of us on this panel, because we're not intimidated by textbooks that's like that has that many pages, but everybody is not a reading 700 to 800 page books. You know what I'm saying? Some of us enjoy that, but a lot of people not, so we got to be more strategic now when we're writing. So we got to write smaller books that can be digestible, and it doesn't take a lot of people time to read these books. You know what I'm saying? Get in, say what we got to say, or create what we got to create, put it out there, let people get it, let people digest it, and then do whatever it is that they want to do, receive whatever it is they trying to receive out of the book. So it just got to make sense, for me, and it needs to make sense for a lot of people in this day of time, because we in the microwave age and everybody has a short attention span, and then a lot of us don't want to read. So now we got to make it interesting for people to be able to read. So now an author and a writer has to be a content creator now too, in order to get people to, buy into. Because people may not believe it or not, I'm not really a people's person. I really don't like fooling with a lot of people, but I fool with a lot of people that has the same common goals and interests that I have. But I understand, in order for me to sell myself to people, or sell a service, or sell a product, I have to be a people's person. I have to mingle with people. Then I have to update with the time. So I don't be wanting to create content, but I know that I have to create content. I don't want to post. I don't want to go to these different places, but I have to do these things because I'm providing a service, I'm providing a product, and that includes meaning that I have to do these necessary steps, because now there's more steps. It's not just writing, putting it out, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of other steps come with you selling yourself to get people to believe in you, and then once get people to believe in you, to trust you when they exchanging their money for your services or for your for your goods, man. So it's a lot that goes into being a writer and an author, you know what I'm saying, in these days and time.
Yes.
I have a question. So speaking of, first of all, Kofi, you're a good content creator. First of all, he was like, I gotta do this. I'm like, you're really good at it. First of all, but my question is, we are of the age where we remember the hardback body magazines, the Jets. Y'all can list them off. The Ebony. Why do y'all think? Why do y'all think what was the downfall of that? Was it financial? Did printing just become more expensive? That's a question. And the second part of that is, do you think we can bring that era back of like our physical copies of the magazine on shelves at stores and businesses? Is that something we can revitalize? What y'all think?
I think we can. I entertained an ideal that I ran across Sean, and I'm still gonna do it, but I'm not gonna do it at this very moment. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna invest in a printing press. You remember I talked to you about this printing press I was gonna get for $15,000. So one thing that when we talk about Jet and we talk about Essence, Ebony, all these black magazines, and even newspaper publications that we had out, a lot of them was getting funded by other different people, right? So so they were getting funded by other different people. So when people lose interest in funding, or people fund certain projects, then it's like you sell a lot of your equity. Like some of these publications went out because the people that was publishing didn't like the way that the newspaper magazine direction they went into, or the magazine direction that it went into, because they are funding it. Even the same thing when you're getting grants. There are certain things that these people want you to do when they giving you their money. They want you to include certain things in that in order for you to keep facilitating money. So we have to be more on the entrepreneur side. That's why I'm saying we got to get in the mindset of teaching ourselves and our children. It's not okay to sell all your intellectual property to someone else after you build it. We have to create our own printing presses, because the paper is gone up. Paper, the glue, the color, the people doing. I mean, just so much other stuff is gone up. So if we develop a system where we create our own printing presses, then we can be able to print our own stuff and then be able to provide affordable prices to other people who have the same interests. But when we're reaching out to other people for funds, which we have to do at times where we're applying for people to write us certain grants to get 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, or we going into other different a nonprofit organization that has funds to fund us. If they giving this money, but this is something that we want you to include into this. You see what I'm saying? So you losing a lot of your ownership where you can't speak about certain things. Like, they might tell you, we don't want you, we gonna fund money, but we don't want you to speak about battered women. You know what I'm saying? That might be too complex. We don't want to offend. So now you have to comply with the investors because they are funding the thing. So then when you say, well, no, this is what we want to do, then you're going to lose the funding. So a lot of times, a lot of these outlets, you know what I'm saying, that's been in circulation goes out of business because we don't have the funds to continue to produce the products and the services that we need because we more thinking on even though we owning something, but we working for somebody else that are ownership, creating our own things and then developing that and then providing an affordable service for somebody else that may not can afford a printing press, or everybody collaborating together and saying, hey, we're going to buy these printing presses together and we're going to call this such and such. So Jules and Jim Sheet and SLA Magazine and Same Tree Different Brands Publishing and this publishing company over here, they done all invested their money so we can continue to own 100% of what we got instead of selling for 60-40 split, 70-30 split, because these people are printing it, you know what I'm saying, and then charging us for paper, puts name, and shipping it out. So we just got to be more in the mindset of ownership, owning our own things, and creating the tools that we need to facilitate the services that we're trying to provide.
Understood. Miss Carolyn, would you like to see, is that something that you would like to see come back, is hard copy magazines?
Yes. I mean, because, I'm old school, and I mean, I know the young people like Joni, they used to looking at the magazines on their phone and their tablet. I'm not a phone and tablet person. My children use their phone like a computer. Okay.
Mhm.
My daughters pay their bills. I mean, they do everything on their phone. That's not me. I like hard copies. I like to have it in my hand. I like to read my books, in my hand. I like to have a book. I don't want to read my book on the computer. Now, I do sometimes when I, may be tired, I have my Bible on my phone and it can automatically talk the scriptures to me. But when I want to really comprehend and get into what I'm reading, I want it in my hand, because I like to mark my books up and I like to have that hard copy. So I would love that. Yes.
Now, y'all, she's saying the young people like me, I am 34 years old. I am an auntie out here, okay? Auntie. I got some little hairs in the front right here. I ain't young. But I do like a little digital something. But I am old school. Whenever I am writing, I start off with my good little paper and my little pen. And then I put it on that, the laptop, the phone, whatever. But
Right.
I also enjoy my good little hard copy of my books and magazines as well. And I wish that would be something that will come back. But I mean, I have to be honest, I don't think it is going to make a comeback because everybody, including the people on this screen right here, we are so used to getting our information so fast, and sometimes it's it's not a good thing because what is the information we're missing in between the information that we're getting?
Ding. And that is key, is exactly what you said. That's why I always like I'm a research guy. So for me, when I'm researching stuff, I like physical copies in my hand. I'm not gonna Google something because I call them Google scholars. They'll get on here and they get the information fast, but there's so much in between, so they miss a lot of stuff. So when they go to speaking about certain subject matters, they don't give the full context of what's going on because they're getting cliff notes and clips of information real fast. So that's not that's not research. That's not proper research. And then you go on here and you Google something because you got it at your fingertips instantly, and you get it and you read something for 30 and 40 minutes, and then the Google scholars are on the internet regurgitating some information they got off of Google and didn't thoroughly go through what you said. It's so much other information in between what they read. They getting these little clips of information and then running with it and then not putting it in its proper context or in the full context of why certain things go on that. And but I like those individuals because they give me something to write about. So that's when I write about, I get inspired and I write about the misinformation and dangerous information that these individuals are conveying. But go ahead, Sean.
I think the only hope that we have for it to come back is that you're seeing a resurgence right now. People are getting the old school vinyl records again. They're getting record players, right? People getting old CD players again. They're wearing certain clothing styles all over again that we had back in the day, right? So hopefully they'll say, you know what? We're going to get some magazines again. We'll get some old school newspapers. Hopefully they'll come back around to where it become a trend again. That's the only hope you probably really have.
True. Yeah. And for a lot of these young people, because I'm a millennial too, I'm a little woman of age, but they're not even used to seeing our magazines on the shelf. We used to love getting in the line. That was our favorite part about getting in the line. We could look at all the magazines, but it just sucks to not see ours, but you still see those like gossip type magazines. You still see those, but it would be great.
The Inquirer.
Yeah, you still see those.
Full of misinformation, but go ahead.
But I think it's our visibility. And what are the hip hop magazines, Sean P? I forgot some of the
Come on, man. The Source, Double XL,
Double XL, Murder Dog, all
of that.
Just seeing those, you know what I'm saying? You get that visibility. Plus, it's all types of cultural pieces. People see folks that look like them, and just maybe we didn't really get to appreciate. We didn't appreciate it until it's gone, and now we're like, okay, we need to bring that back. But I would love to see Hidden Gems and Jewels and a Silly magazine on shelves. So I'm gonna just go ahead and speak that. I'm gonna light an incense to that. Cheers to that. Because then we could really, for those young readers, we could tell our stories and they would tap in. Because a lot of the young people are tapping out of like the social media. They're not even subscribing to that. So maybe for those people, they would gravitate towards it, which that's my little
one of my next questions for the panel was about the level of illiteracy they have these days. The literacy rate is going down drastically. And back to the topic we just talked about, look at the old school days that anybody household you go to, any black household, they had Ebony magazine spread everywhere, Jet magazine everywhere, Essence magazine. You go in the bathroom, it was a stack of magazines on side of the bathroom. Went to the barbershop, the hair salon, so like, wait for a haircut. You pick up some, wait for a haircut right quick. But you're always seeing words. But now we have a decrease in that, and now we see a decrease in literacy. Like, come on, man! It's just evident to me why that is.
That's an excellent point, man. That's an excellent point.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point, Sean P.
I think we just need to really, really encourage our youth to read. I work with a lot of young people, and with the job that I do, they give us a lot of stuff that we have to read, but they don't necessarily read it, and they miss out on a lot of information. And sometimes it's stuff that they sign. So you signed this document and you never read it.
I see that a lot.
And then they miss these opportunities that could advance them in their careers or in their day-to-day life because they didn't sit here and read it. And then years go down the line and like, oh, I'm doing this and that. Like, did you not know that you could have gotten paid for the stuff you did? Because you signed a paper that said that you could have gotten paid for it, but because you didn't want to read it,
right
here you are missing on opportunities.
Yeah.
They said take a look is in the book.
It's in a book. It's reading rainbow.
And this is a good example, Sean P. You brought up a perfect example. So my
Oh,
little cousin, she's getting ready to start. She's starting back in school, and she has this assignment. And of course, I'm gonna support my cousin because I'm like, yeah, we gonna make this work. So the assignment is everything is clear, and she's like, now what do I do? And I'm like, see, that's the thing that we're missing those pieces, and here it is right, learning how to pick things out. And I think the way we tell our stories helps with reading comprehension because our
Yeah.
stories are interesting. We're going to talk about the streetwear, we're going to talk about what's going on in the community and the businesses, and we've got so much to share. And when we don't, and we only depend on passing people things and books that they are not interested in, to your point, John A, like they're not interested in it, then that too contributes to the decline of the um comprehension. And then I was like, it's this, it's that. So I'm pointing it out to her, but I'm like, well, these are the skills that I feel like our work contributes to when we get it in their hands because they want to read it and build those skills that can be useful in adult life. There was also another situation that happened, I want to say a couple of years back in Texarkana, where this lady, she had a baby, and somehow she just signed a consent form. Speaking of consent and in the medical world, come to find out, after she had the baby, she signed where they could like take out her ovaries, or they could remove, not, it wasn't hysterectomy or fallopian tubes, that they could take out her fallopian tubes. She didn't even know. So to your point, they folks don't read, and then boom, they sign right here, and your whole life can be impacted.
And
Yes.
now, we're speaking on literacy specifically, right? But at my job, a lot of our staff in their 20s, they just graduated high school recently. I don't realize how many of them can't write, they can't read, and they can't type. So you be all the above. You can't read, write, or type. Like, how you gonna even function in this world? You
Hmm.
can't do any of it.
mhm.
It's getting scary. They can't tell time on a regular. Why they can't tell time? Like they can't count money. It's going to a scary place. Man.
And this is it's so crazy because one of the videos a couple of days ago, walking, I was talking about reading and writing and how um a, in our culture reading is not popular. You know what I'm saying? And um reading, we can't escape reading. I don't care where you go in this world, reading is required in everything that you do. John A made a point, and I made a point on the same thing. I was trying to give examples, you know, advancing on your job or trying to get a house, someone
Right.
to write a grant or
Right.
to get a loan. It requires reading. To get a job, you fill out an application, it requires reading. So you can't escape reading. So what can we do to spark the interest to get everybody back on board to reading again? Because just like you said, Sean, the literacy rate has went down. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us are illiterate because we hate to read. And when I was saying on that video too, I can speak to certain people that look like us, and they'll look at me like I cursed them out when I asked them what was the last book that they read, or who was their favorite article. I mean, who was their favorite author, or check this book out, or check this article or journal out. You know, they look at me like I'm speaking in another language and looking at me like they ready to whoop me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm asking them to read something, or I'm asking them what was the last thing that they read. So we
No,
we mhm.
let's go to the opposite side of the house. We're all writers once again and everything, right? I went to an event here in Louisiana a few weeks ago. One of the greatest writers of our lifetime had an event here. It was a free event. A free event. You would think it'd have been packed out. You can't park the car. You better get there early and get a good seat. It was barely anybody even in there, bro. Like, we don't value that.
Mhm.
We don't value these spaces. Now, if they
Mhm.
had some drinking, some smoking, some other stuff going on, you can't get in the building.
Mhm.
We
Right.
love
Mhm.
ignorant stuff. But something like that, that's to be praised. She one of the only folks to get the Oprah Winfrey book picked multiple times and National Book of the Year award winner from Mississippi, right next door. a sister, look like us. You barely even had us in the building. You had more of them than us at this event. It's like, man, it's crazy how we look at things, man. The importance on things is just totally backwards, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Backwards.
Yeah. Um, I have a question for you both, Jonay, and Miss Carolyn. This episode is about Black Media Matters. From your perspective as an author, a leader, and media voices, why is Black-owned media essential today, and how can we ensure to continue to thrive for the next generation?
Black
Okay,
well,
go ahead, Miss Carolyn. Go ahead, girl. You got this.
well, okay, for me, Black owned media matters because as a Black person and you running Black owned media, you know your culture, you know your Black culture,
Mm-hmm.
you know things that needs to be addressed and things that need to be talked about, the things that need to be confronted. So
Mm-hmm.
Black media matters, and we
Mm-hmm.
need more of Black owned media,
Mm-hmm.
to bring awareness to
Yes,
the things
ma'am.
going on in the Black culture and the
Mm-hmm.
Black neighborhoods. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think that that is so vital right now,
Mm-hmm.
especially in this here temperature that we in. This administration that we in.
Mm-hmm.
This here, we need Black media. It's very important.
I definitely agree. How about you, Jonay?
For me, yes, Black media is important. For me, my whole thing was seeing someone that looked like me. Um, from
Yeah.
writing my first book and actually selling it in my area, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, this is my first time meeting an author. This is my first time seeing a Black author." And I'm like, in my head, because I read a lot, I'm like, I mean, I've read a bunch of books by Black authors, but for them, it was their first time ever meeting an author, and it made me feel proud that they could actually physically touch me, physically touch my book, buy the
Yes.
book from the author, and experience that interaction, and actually see that I'm like y'all, like I'm not, something that you would consider like uppity, I come from the hood, from y'all same little, streets, did the same things as y'all. I just use my talent in a way that, I have a book now, and some of y'all play sports, and some of y'all do these other things, but this is what I do. So I think seeing me in the media, seeing that we actually own this is ours. Like we don't have
Yes.
filters on the information we can put out. We can put out what is actually happening in our communities and how we can better our communities around us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I definitely agree with that, and that's what the Black media was for. I'm gonna throw this up here. Um, let's see. Go ahead, Sean. You had something? Um,
Yeah, especially being on the Truth Be Told podcast in the morning, is a real news heavy podcast. So therefore, it forces me to study the media way more than I normally would. And like for an example, the ICE out there in Chicago right now in the Black neighborhoods, things that they're doing. Looking at how it's reported on certain media outlets versus seeing Black people really reported with their own phone, showing you what's happening in their neighborhood, in their housing projects and things like that. You see that contrast, man. Even doing the Ferguson the riot and protest, seeing them report the protest versus guys that I know personally out there getting pepper spray, getting mace and everything in real time with their phone, showing you on Twitter what's really happening on the ground. Like we need those voices of what's really happening in these times that's going on, man.
yep. Hmm.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
this is what these and I hold on, I dang show can't um see it, but these are what some of these media outlets, and what I have on here, I kind of have them in order. Like I have the Freedom Journal that we talked about, that was created in 1987, and they created this Samuel Eliot Cornish and John Brown Rushworm. They created this to tell our stories. They wanted to combat the misinformation that was told by Black people. I mean, that was told, combat the misinformation that was told, that people were saying about Black people. They wanted to report the real news that was going on in the Black communities, in the neighborhood. They wanted to promote Black businesses and Black excellence. So they combated like a lot of the things that you're talking about. Even, you get to the North Star newspaper in 1845, you know what I'm saying? Founded by Martin Delany. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know who Martin Delany is, go check I talk about Martin Delany a lot. Just wrote an article and mentioned him in two of my articles that I wrote about. But Frederick Douglass and Marcus Delany, the North Star in 1847. You had the Christian Recorder in 1551. California Eagle, 1879. This was in, I think this was in Los Angeles. Los Angeles. The Philadelphia Tribune in 1884. You know what I'm saying? W.E. Du Bois was also involved in that magazine. Memphis Free Speech and Highlight in 1888. We just talked about Ida B. Wells was also a part of that publication. She was an editor and so forth in that magazine. You got the Baltimore Afro-American in 1892, that was in Baltimore. You had the Chicago Defender, Sean talked about early on in this program, 1905. Mm-hmm. You have the Chicago Bee, as well. You Pittsburgh Courier, 1987. The Crisis, a magazine in 1910. The Associated Negro Press in 1919. The Atlanta Daily World in 1928 was also a newspaper. You got the Ebony Magazine, 1945. Jet, 1951. Essence, 1970. So, and all of these things all of these Black presses, they set the precedents, you know what I'm saying, for us. We standing on the shoulders of these ancestors who contributed these works, and some of the same sentiments and some of the same sort of the lines that we're talking about is combating misinformation and reporting our stories and telling the true story about us. You know what I'm saying? This is why Black media, it matters, you know what I'm saying? So, and I wanted to share them because we are all on this panel are standing on the shoulders of those who I just named, who founded these things and push Black media to the forefront to show Black excellence, you know what I'm saying? To promote promote who we are, to tell our stories, you know what I'm saying? To combat the misinformation that is out there in the media about Black people. So, it is necessary. It is needed. So I hope that we continue to, you know what I'm saying, push the envelope. And I know, some of us are doubting about it coming back. Sometimes we have to set that precedence. We have to set the example first, and then everybody else will fall in line. Because from my experience, and I'm not speaking about nobody else's experience, that I could have been ahead a long time ago, but I always sat back and had great ideas and was very creative. But I've always sat back and waited for somebody else to do it first before I jump in. And that's what a lot of people's mindsets are. And then me waiting, I could have been the first, or I could have been right in the beginning of it, you know what I'm saying, where, I could have made my mark and got ahead, you know what I'm saying. I waited till later on to jump on it after somebody else done it, and then got the accolades and reap the benefit, which this ain't what I'm in it for accolades. But I'm saying we have to set the example, and we may have to do it, and then everybody else will follow suit. I'm sorry that people have that mindset, but they ain't gonna come until you build it. People may want to do it, but you might have to be the one. Somebody got to build it. Somebody got to set the right example. So it might be us that have to set the right example to bring it back and be like, okay, well, dang, they doing it. The hard copies are back. I want to do it too. Or let me get access to them and let me get involved in what they got going on, and then I can do the same thing. We all can work together and reap the benefits from it, and then that can springboard into somebody else getting on board, and springboard where it's a trickle effect that it goes down, and now you got the black media, black press is back up, the hard copies are back up. So now when you go to your salon store, in your salon, you see it spread it all. You see Hidden Gems and Jews and the Sele and every other black media magazine, and you can go to the things to get your coffee and get your newspaper out there, and it might be same tree, different brands, newspaper, whatever it is, and you going through it. So it might be on us to do that. You know what I'm saying? To set that example, and then they will come. Because that's what I have noticed. You build it, they will come.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's what I was talking about with you earlier. That collaboration. That coming together.
Yep. Yep. All right. Do y'all got any other questions before we go into the last segment of the podcast?
Huge thank you. I'm a big gratitude person. And before we do go to the women's segment, I definitely want to thank you for being who you are individually. Thank you for what you built collectively and what is going to continue to come from your hands and your ideas. And I honor that so much, because it takes for a person to know themselves in order to step into a role, especially a role as big as, being a CEO of a magazine, and, being a part of putting things together. It takes a lot to step into those shoes sometimes, because it's responsibility. So I just wanted to make sure I told you ladies, thank you so much. And you guys inspire me. So I look forward to collaborating and talking with you more to get to know you, because that's another piece of it. It's just really relationship building, which is a part of those collaboration pieces. And I'm about that. So I can't wait to learn more about you individually and build. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. We definitely appreciate y'all. We definitely appreciate, like I said again, I'll say it one more time. There wouldn't be no Silly magazine if I wouldn't have got the Hidden Gems and Jewels magazine back in October. And we finna be celebrating our 1 year anniversary in November, because the first issue came out November the 1st, 2024. So next month we're putting out another issue, which will be our 1 year anniversary edition and celebration edition as well. So I want to thank y'all for putting out the magazine, you know what I'm saying, and y'all linking up with my brother, and he's sharing it and giving me access to Johnny, and the birth of a magazine, came into existence, and it's still in existence to this day. Because I'll be honest, I was talking to Sean, and I was mentioning him when I said I'm gonna just test it out. I might be one and done. You know what I'm saying? And look, we going into a whole year with a staff of 13 writers. I didn't even imagine, and a lot of these people are people who came, and then we'd have had spot writers. We'd have had several, and I'm gonna put that on the Instagram page this week. The spot writers, we'd have had 7 or 8 different spot writers that came, because we also allow people, if they want to come on just for this issue and be a spot writer or guest writer, you more than welcome to come on and share what you need, your expertise, on this magazine, man. So again, shout out to you both. I appreciate you both. Um, Continue to keep up the great work. I hope, Jewels and Gems go on for how long y'all want it to be. I hope, the next 10, 15 years, I hope it get bigger. I hope
Yeah.
it get better. You know what I'm saying? I wish y'all nothing but success.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to it, and I really want to thank you all for bringing me on. I know Joni, she asked me a while back about us doing a podcast because you all inspired her, and
Mm.
so I told her I would like to do that because and I expressed to you earlier about how I went on Indeed and tried to just test and see how many people was interested in being a part of a magazine, and I got about 100 resumes.
Mhm.
I mean, I said, oh my God, I just was testing just to test the waters to see what kind of interest was out there. And I got about 100 applicants that was interested in being a part of Hidden Gems and Jewels. And it was a little overwhelming when I saw all those, because you got to go through them and, kind of vet them and to see what people would want to really be a part and actually was going to, stay strong. Like Joni has really been an inspiration, a help. I can't give her, I mean, I just can't stop giving her kudos for the amazing woman that she is. But I really wanted to grow because it's so many hidden talents out there and so many different inspiring people out there that we need to push to the forefront. And that's what I want to do.
Most definitely, most definitely. Yep. Thank you. So, you got anything else, Joni, you would like to say before we move into the last segment of the podcast?
Thank you guys for having me on this podcast. Thank you to Miss Carolyn for having Hidden Gems and Jewels, because that magazine was a magazine way before I got there. She already was doing her own little thing. So, keep it going. Keep it going. Even though I have to step away from the magazine for a while, I know that she is going to continue doing great things with the magazine. I'm always going to be there for her and whatever she needs me to do. But unfortunately, I do have to step away from that project to do some other projects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right,
Come
all
on
right.
now. Yes.
All right. So let's get into the woman segment. This woman segment, like I said, is one of my favorite segments of the hour. It is the woman segment, and it is ushered up by our beautiful sister, Dr. Ashley Wade.
Good. I'm so happy. I'm always proud when I get to tap into these moments for the woman segment. So today we're going to talk about our good revolutionary sister, Assata Shakur. She recently passed away in September.
Mm-hmm.
She was born July 16, 1947, and she passed away this September 25th in 2025. So I saw this video. I don't know if y'all saw it too, but our fellow writer Tyree, he posted it on his Instagram page.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this lady, and she was on this really negative rant about Assata Shakur, and why are we giving her praise? She didn't do anything for the community. She was just on that tangent. And so that prompted me, it stuck with me, because I'm just like, everybody's, of course, has their own opinion, but it made me realize that there are a lot of people, a lot of Black Americans who don't relate to her. And I wanted to pull up to highlight some things and some reasons why people don't relate to her. And most of it has to do with the fact that she was exposed to revolutionary principles early in her life. So it's a disservice that they don't connect with her, but I see why. I had nothing but empathy for the lady, because I'm like, she don't know no better. Because you have to be led to learn about Assata Shakur. You're not going to learn about her in your history books. You're not going to learn about her in your classes. So I understand the layman that says, okay, well, what does she do? She's not Martin Luther King. But what I found interesting is, like, has she been somebody like Michelle Obama, who's pious, presenting like the general educated Black woman? People will be falling out all over the pews over her. And I feel like Assata deserves that same energy, but we need to understand why she was the way she was. So she was born Joanne Chesimard. She was a 24-year-old college student with no previous criminal record. She was raised by a supportive family, but then at that same age, she allegedly became a serial bank robber, okay, a police killer, a fugitive of the law, and eventually becoming the first woman to be placed on the FBI's top 10 most wanted terrorist list. No, I see why people don't relate to her, because they don't
You,
tap into those revolutionary sides. Most of us can't see ourselves robbing a bank for the community, taking the money from the bank and giving it to the community. Most people can't relate to that. And even though, some people don't know how to honor her, to me, that's honorable. I mean, it may not be something that we could see ourselves doing, but I honor her for being that brave and bold and self-determined. to put
Mm.
her life on the line to make sure that the community was receiving funds. Speaking of funding programs, Kofi was talking about earlier, to
Mm-hmm.
fund programs that were helping communities. Because, who going to give money for the free breakfast programs? Who going to give money for the free shoe programs and certain things like that? But she was born in Jamaica, Queens, but she was raised in Wilmington, North Carolina. So she was raised in the South. Her family owned land, and they had a business called the Freeman Beach in North Carolina. I had never heard of that place, but it brought thousands of visitors, they said, and it was destroyed by a hurricane. So that was her initial trajectory, take over the family business. But child, she started running away when she was 13, and she learned the street life and how to fend for herself. A lot of us don't have that story, so we can't relate, but it's still honorable the things that she did. She eventually enrolled at Borough of Manhattan City College. And there she was exposed to Garveyites. She
Mm-hmm.
was exposed to Black Muslims and New Africans. How many of us could say we were exposed to those types of people in that belief system? So again, these are the reasons why folks can't relate. They don't have the same exposure. And so she says that it brought her into a new way of thinking and a new consciousness. And my question was, who all is doing this? We barely can get people to read. You know what I'm saying? But she was exposed to a new consciousness the way we should be exposed to new consciousness. You know what I'm saying? And all of this happened early in her life. She eventually moved to Berkeley, California. And that's where she was exposed to the Black Panther Party. And little do we know, we realized that she only stayed with the party for like a year. She didn't like roam her whole life through that. She only stayed in a year. And she says, quote, of all the things I wanted to be when I was a little girl, a revolutionary wasn't one of them. And now it's the only thing that I wanted to do. So just seeing that progression, a lot of us are just now having that exposure to revolutionary ideals, defunding, and those types of concepts now in our later life. She was exposed to that early at
Mm-hmm.
the age of 24. So another part that I thought was interesting is they describe her as more of an enigma than a leader. So more of a mysterious person. And I love that on a Black woman. Come on now. I, to me, that's hot on a Black woman, to be mysterious. You can't quite figure her out. You can't quite pinpoint how and why she is the way she is. And I think that's a quality that we all have. We have a little sass that people don't quite understand, right?
I'm with you on that. I'd say that about my wife. I don't want. I thought I understand you. I don't want it. Yeah, So my wife is mysterious. I got it. I got it.
I
Go ahead.
love that as an attribute. I think
I
we deserve to be a little mysterious. My favorite thing about Asada is that she literally trained in Georgia in guerrilla warfare.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Not many of us can say we barely trained to play basketball and soccer and stuff. She was
Mm-hmm.
trained in guerrilla warfare. And I want to read a little bit. Is that okay with y'all?
Yeah,
You
go
know how they
ahead.
ask in church. They be like, is that all right if I read?
Go ahead.
Okay, just a little bit. Okay. So in the late summer, I'm reading from this book right here. Shout out to the great author Santee Elijah Holly. Sean P actually interviewed this author on his podcast. This book is called The American Family. It's another source to find out information about Assata Shakur besides her autobiography. And there's a list of books that refer to Assata Shakur. But I'm gonna read this a little bit. So in late summer 71, drove to South Georgia and marshaled at a house on Fayetteville Road outside of Atlanta. In the nearby woods, they were alleged to have engaged in guerrilla warfare training exercises. They barely want to let women in the military in high ranking positions, but you got a Assata out here engaging in guerrilla warfare training exercises, wilderness survival, weapons cleaning, and target practice, with Assata providing first aid lessons. So they learn all these attributes. I just think that's so dope on a woman. You know what I'm saying? Because they expect us to be so pristine and pious, and then here you are, Assata, and she's a person who is so open in her mind that she was willing to learn these types of training techniques as a young woman. And then, yeah, the rumors are true. She was in there. She was robbing banks. And she was actually, and they weren't taking little bits of money. They were taking not hundreds of thousands of dollars from these banks, okay, and giving them to the community. And it just took them so long to actually tie her to a crime, which they accused her of killing a police officer, and they actually tied her to being the leader or the mother of, they say, of the Black Liberation Army. But I just wanted to include that in there so people can see that that's not something that we should shy away from. When we think about bank robbers, we think about, oh, that's a criminal. But what Assata was doing for the community was actually funding programs. People don't see that. They say, oh, well, she was selfish. She was doing all these things, but she was really doing it for the sake of the people, for the sake of the forward movement of the programs of the Panthers and other programs facilitated by the Liberation Army. Again, for a lot of people, that'll go straight over their heads. But there's somebody out there who her story may inspire. It definitely inspired me, lots of other Black women who never saw themselves as revolutionary, but can read her story and empathize and connect with the things that she did. And this book shares some information that she does not share in her autobiography, which is how she escaped from prison. That was a big old mystery for so many years. And believe it or not, she was out of there in 10 minutes. So make sure you get this book to find out, how she escaped from prison and all the other amazing Shakur family members. And luckily she was able to escape and find safety in Cuba. So shout out to Fidel Castro. And I don't really care what people say about him or whatever, but he provided a place for her to live out her life essentially in peace. And she recently passed away in September. So I just wanted to give some honor to her name, share a little bit about what made her such a badass, and hopefully this will engage that badass energy in us people in the community so that we can collaborate and we can grow together and really do some revolutionary type things. Thank you for tapping in, and special RIP to our sister Assata Shakur.
Yeah, shout out to Assata Shakur. I was trying to find my book. I couldn't find it. I'm like, I know I got the book somewhere. Yeah, and I had to go.
It's written so well. It's written so well. You learn about it. Phoenix. Sean can tell us about it. Sean interviewed the author and everything. But it's written so well and it's so engaging. You find out like how the Shakur dynasty even started, who the great granddaddy, and then how they hope to propel it with Tupac. So check out this book if you want to learn more about Assata Shakur, an American family, the Shakurs and the nation they created.
So I was blessed to interview the author probably 2 years ago. Now time go by so fast. Whenever it first came out, but I talked to the author right whenever Assata Shakur passed to come back on the podcast. We're gonna do a complete Assata Shakur tribute episode about her specifically, and he agreed to do it. So look out for that coming up pretty soon on the Sean P Experience.
Okay, no doubt. No doubt. So there you have it. Let's give it up for another episode, season 3, episode 9, Black Media Matters, with our special guest. Let's give another round of applause for that.
And it's 4:44 here Central Standard Time, so we love to clock that alignment piece. So this was right in line with what we need to say and how we need to present today.
Yeah. So again, we appreciate everybody that tuned in. We appreciate those who may come back later on and listen to this in the archive. We greatly appreciate it. We definitely greatly appreciate our special guests who came on the platform today. Again, we wish them nothing but success, and hope that they're able to execute every creative ideal that they have in their future endeavors. We out of here. We'll see y'all next time on the Griot podcast. Y'all have a great morning, a great evening, and a great afternoon. We out of here, y'all. Peace.